Mariam Matar. I am an Emirati, a mother of a lovely daughter. Her name is Sarah, and a physician by practice, and scientist and researcher with a special interest in epigenetic and regenerative medicine.
Dr. Mariam, absolute honor and privilege to connect with you today.
Thank you.
Dr. Mariam, today is about voices of the future. You are a voice of today, but even more importantly, you project a voice into the future. But before we go there, can you just share in your early days of your life, anybody who impacted you, influenced you, inspired you, which has shaped you to be the amazing person you are today?
Yes. I think that forced me to go back to my roots. I'm coming from a very strong root, extended with wisdom, with kindness, and with respect. It goes back to my parents, my father Mariam Matar, and my lovely mother, Fatima. And with my great, I believe they are my social safety net, my brothers and sisters. We are 9. And I am in the middle, number 5, always the lucky person. And I believe I am lucky in everything in my life. And I'm lucky to be in the golden era of United Arab Emirates and to have the opportunity to establish, to fund, and to start things from the scratch. It was challenging, but I believe it was a great opportunity through which I acquired and empowered myself with some of the skills which I will dream to have them. And I believe that also goes back for me being lucky to be in such community where we have more than 200 nationalities. People who are sharing with us, developing our country, they are coming with a very well-defined accumulative experience. You can imagine how lucky I was to get a very crystal clear experience from the expert on my land, next shoulder to each other. So I believe I'm lucky to be in such community with a lovely mosaic of a whole nation of the planet Earth.
Tell us about how you have taken your medical career and brought it together and really inspired a whole new generation.
So when I had my rotation in Thalassemia Center in Al Wasl Hospital, it's called now Latifa Hospital, and when I saw the suffering and the guilt feeling in the eyes of the parents when they used to give their child for blood transfusion every 3 weeks and for dyspheral to be on their tummy 12 hours per day, young child as 2 years old, I said, we as a physician, we need to be those caregiver and the angel who brings smile and happiness in the face of those people. So when I search about it, why they do suffer, and when I found that somebody like Cyprus, a country where they were celebrating 11 years, where no single child born with thalassemia, it was simply because they enforce a law, awareness. People who are insisting to go ahead and get married, the church will not approve their marriage. So they were a very constructive legislation in a place to help the new generation. Very naive way, I wrote these 2 papers going nicely, and at that time I was not wearing heel, and going to my senior, doctor, we have to do this in UAE. And I was with all those happiness that I found something that it can be implementable. So he told me, Mama Mariam, just now you are just graduated from medical college. Focus on your study. Have your specialty in 4 years. Help your patient and leave all of this for the ministries and decision maker. So you only confine yourself to the clinic, provide service, and the rest you have nothing to do with. Can you imagine, Dr. Tariq? This is I keep saying it in any interview. My mother, she doesn't read and write. I don't like to tell her illiterate. She doesn't read and write, but she's full of wisdom, Habibti Mama.
Yeah.
So I'm the first physician in my family. And that is so huge for my parents to have a physician in their family. So every day when I used to come back from the hospital, I would start talking to them, what happened, how I've done so, I met so and so. She noticed while I'm having this rotation, I don't come with the same passion. She said, Mama, why? What happened? Is there anything hurting you? Is there anything wrong? I said, Mama, I have this pain because unfortunately, I'm carrying it every day to the home when I see the pain and the guilt feeling in the parents' eye. She said, Mama, you are a doctor. Help them. You're a doctor, Mama. I said, Mama, but this is not my role, Mama. She said, why, Mariam? How we can help? I said, no, Mama, it's only Sheikh and the ministry. She told me, what is it? So I explained to her. Imagine my lovely mother, Habibti Mama. She came back after a few minutes, maybe half an hour. We were talking, I went inside and she said, Mama, you know, Mariam, our neighbor's son is proposing to our neighbor daughter. And what if I can, you know, we have this custom in our culture. Every Friday in the neighborhood, ladies, every Friday they gather in one lady's house for gossiping and trying recipes. So my mother said, this week I'll call them over and you try to explain to the mother for the couple, and let them come to the hospital, do the test for them, Mama. Can you imagine? That was in 2001. In 2005, March, I was the guest of honor in the cabinet when a law for pre-marital test the draft was approved by Sheikh Mansour, Allah yahfadah. So you can imagine an initiative from my mother, from my neighbor. The week after, the other neighborhood called me. Later on, somebody senior in that gathering, she will call me for their a corporate to come and talk about thalassemia, about the genetic diseases.
Yeah.
Then I went back to Professor Baran, God bless his soul. He's my mentor and our senior in the clinical academic. I told him, Professor Baran, I want to be a surgeon, but at the same time, I love what I'm doing. This suddenly came in my way. Then he told me, Mariam, you need to take community medicine. So in the afternoon, you go and practice in the clinic, and in the morning, go and help your people. And the rest was history, Dr. Tar.
So basically, that little nudge, that little trigger from your mother helped to direct and shape who you are today.
So much.
And you know, these are exactly the stories which really define us and define who we become. But since then, fast forward, in the last 20 years or so, alhamdulillah, you have achieved so much. Can you give us a 2-minute version of the kind of breakthroughs you have done? You brought in legislation, you became an integral part of the Health Authority and others. For me, in your words, what are those achievements in the last 20 years?
I have to give all the credit for my team. I cannot take the credit. I can take the credit of coming up with the idea, fighting for the idea, and having a very humble skills in communication and people accepting me to hear and listen to me, and taking the whole, let's say, criticism on my shoulder and my face, while the credit goes to my lovely team. So I do remember from 2001, when I graduated from the medical college and I was certified physician. So at that time, in 2003, I was chosen by Muhammad Leadership Program. I was the second batch in leadership program with other 32 potential leaders for Dubai. And this leadership program, it formed me in a very high dimension. I am a physician, but I was empowered with a skill of negotiation, leadership, strategic planning, finance, things which I never be able to. I believe I was lucky as a physician. No other physician had such opportunity which I had. So during this career and the development, so being accepted in the leadership program itself, it was one of big milestone for me.
Right.
And graduating from this leadership program with a project which I initiated. It's called UAE Free of Thalassemia 2012. A project which I initiated, and it was adopted by the government, you know. That was another milestone. Then later on, when I love taking care of myself. I love playing sport. I love dancing. I dance all type of dance. I love music, by the way. So when I used to go to Dubai Ladies Club, I saw people are only doing fitness, but there is no something constructive. So I given an opportunity from Sheikh Minal bint Sheikh Mohammed Allah يحفظها, and especially Muna Al-Mirri. She was a very big support for me. Her Excellency Muna Al-Mirri, she said, she gave me a support where I told her, Muna, I want to build a clinic, a fitness wellness center in Dubai Ladies Club. So that was another milestone where I was given an opportunity from scratch to start a wellness center in Dubai Ladies Club, which is sustainable till today. And later on in 2002, I was given another opportunity from Dr. Howard Reed. He was the Dean of Dubai Women College. I went to him and I told him in the morning, because in the morning I do all awareness. I told him, Professor Dr. Reed, can you allow me to come once, twice in your college to talk to the girls about their health, about anemia? And he saw me, I'm coming every day, you know. He said, Mariam, we don't pay you. I said, I don't need money. I'm doing it for my own sister. Yeah. So he gave me an opportunity to establish a wellness center in Dubai Ladies Club, where right now this wellness center are in each college, in Zayed University, in Dubai Women College. Okay. And the other things which I believe I was lucky enough to be the reason of establishing it also, there were no legislation in the whole High College of Technology which integrate a special need in their colleges. So being physician and going to this wellness center, which I established from scratch, even the format, then when I was walking away, there were a girl who was not feeling happy. Her name is Huriya, if she allowed me to mention her name. And that she was not accepted in the college because she has a special need and a special request because of her heart condition. So I went back to Dr. Reed. I said, Dr. Reed, I can take the lead and I will make sure she will get. She said, Mariam, this is big responsibility. I said, give me the chance, Dr. Howard Reed. From this girl, Huriya, right now, there is a policy and procedure and a legislation which allow special need with a special category to be integrated smoothly in High College of Technology and higher education. So later on, I was lucky enough as well to be I love beach, I love swimming. And when I used to go to Dubai Ladies Club to look after the wellness center, I had a chance to go on the beach walking, but I saw a lady with a child with Down syndrome sitting and watching the lady, they are enjoying the beach, and she cannot. I went to her, I told her, may I help you? She said, I have this Down syndrome and I cannot trust anyone. I told her, can you keep your child with me? Go and enjoy the beach. Dr. Tariq, can you imagine? Within less than 2 years, I established something called UAE Down Syndrome Society. And the whole establishment started from Dubai Ladies Club. This was first lady come, another week, they became 5. Then I approached Muna Al-Mirri to allow the nursery in Dubai Ladies Club to allow their children 1 day per week. The mother of Down syndrome, they used to bring their children in the nursery and they will enjoy the beach. And then right now, we are a very big society called UAE Down Syndrome. We have our own building, we have our own school, and we have our own sustainable financial support.
You know, I always say that the only boundaries for us are in our mind. Indeed. And in our imagination. Indeed. And if we can believe something and manifest something, we can make it happen.
Absolutely.
Which brings me to a beautiful point, which I heard from you recently, that you are focused, planned, disciplined, and ready to accept the 2033 Nobel Award
Inshallah.
For Health
I can
and Medicine.
feel the warmth in my head. It's not exaggeration, but I am allowed to dream.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're not only allowed to dream, you're allowed to feel and you're allowed to manifest. Tell us about I am with you in Oslo in 2033.
Wow.
What am I seeing?
Oh, you're seeing proud mother on the stage, proud citizen. And again, people will tell me it's so high to speak to. You can imagine, Dr. Tariq, I thought about this award by encouragement of my mother. So when I graduated, and it was in 2001, I was watching the Nobel laureate ceremony because we believe this is the award. Then my mother, she said, what they are doing? I said, Mama, they are so. She said, Inshallah, when you will take it.
Yes.
Can you imagine? Being a physician, I thought I will do it in my way when it comes to genetic disorder, specifically the hemoglobinopathies. End of 2005, I received a request from, not a request, it's an order from the government that Mariam, come and we have an interview and we want you to be on the top leading Dubai strategic plan from 2008 till 2017. When I went there and I was accepted after interviewing people who are very senior to me, and as you know, we love our leaders, and if their request is an order. So I decided, I'm sure Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala planned it for me. So when I came on the Dubai strategic plan, where I was in charge of community development, which has health, education, and national identity, with other 28 experts globally are with me to set this thing. So during the whole journey of 11 months, day and night, with those people who are coming from a community where they know what they want, and a community where majority of Nobel laureates were from those countries. So I had this chance, Dr. Tariq, to have very close shoulder to shoulder discussion with them. They will discuss about community and I will discuss about the Nobel laureate which come from the same university where he graduated. And the whole link started. Then they asked me to be the first woman in the history of my lovely young country as a undersecretary. And at that time, Dr. Tariq, by the way, it was only preventive medicine. When I took the post as an undersecretary for preventive medicine, I went to the minister. I said, I think we need to upgrade the title. It should be public health. There were nothing public health in UAE, by the way. It was preventive medicine, الطب الوقائي. ما كان في شيء اسمه الصحة العامة. He said, what is it? I came up with my proposal with the support and everything. So I took a title which was not there for anyone else. I created a title with the support of my leader minister. So a title of Undersecretary of Public Health and Primary Health Care. And at that time, Dr. Tariq, you cannot imagine the opportunity and the luck which I was in. I had a chance to look at my community in a panoramic view from a very high level, not a physician level. And having this view and being aware about the available tool and the great support of our leaders. In this time when I took the position, it was the first time in the history of the ministry where 11 legislation was approved in 1 year. 11 legislation. And it was not easy. It sounded easy, but I had a good team, but the team wanted somebody to fight for them. And we have great support from the minister. So I do remember one of the legislation which I'm so proud of. It's banning smoking in public area. It was not easy, you know. Everybody was against it, by the way. But everybody was supporting it openly. But behind the doors, everybody has their own agenda. And then the legislation.
So you're the person behind banning smoking.
Indeed. I can take. Sorry, I hope the community will allow me to take the credit of holding it and holding the flag there. And then, unfortunately, people who's affected with AIDS and HIV, it was a taboo. Never ever anybody talked about them, brought them in front of media to talk about the realistic and the statistic about such disorder in our country. It was the first ever time in the history of the ministry where we will do a press release and we will talk openly about the real statistic about people who's affected with the disease. Not only that, we, along with our colleague in Human Resource Ministry, we were able to give them chance to go back and work with the limited places.
Right.
So getting this safety net and the partnership with everyone, I think that's something which I'm so proud of, along with other legislation where people was great support. And one of the things which I believe I was lucky enough to be given the opportunity to enforce and develop a law. For example, people previously for the pre-employment investigation, people, they used to do it when they arrive, they will do the test, and then we will be shocked that they have HIV, they have TB, when they need to be sent back while they spend quite good time within the family for a huge chance of transmission of whatever infectious disease. So I was behind a law where no one is allowed to have the work permit till they will do their test back home for infectious disease, and then we repeat the test here, and we have assigned laboratory back in their country to be screened, so we make sure that they will do the right work. So these are some of the things which I believe I was lucky enough to lead them, to initiate it, to develop the whole proposal, and to be there during the enforcement.
Yeah. I mean, you are recognized as one of the top Arab scientists already. You've won many, many awards and lifetime achievement awards, and you're too young for a lifetime achievement award, but you're still getting it. Yes. Which one of those awards was the closest to your heart? Which one did you enjoy the most?
It was Sheikh Rashid Excellence Award.
Okay.
When I was given to, because I was first on my batch in the medical college, and I graduated, and it was the first award ever I get, and it was very dear to my heart because when I received it, my father was not around, and I believe all the awards which I received, they are simply as an appreciation and blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I do remember I received 30,000 dirham, and with that 30,000 dirham, I did something for my father which is sustainable till today.
I see.
It's very dear to my heart.
I'd like to ask a question on trust, because when we think about the future, in my view as a futurist, trust and having trust and truth is one of the most important things, because there's a deficit of trust in the world. People don't trust organizations, they don't trust media, they don't trust all sorts of places. So that deficit is there. How important do you think trust is in the work that you do and being part of the future?
In my opinion, trust can be as a result of legacy. If you have a credibility within your community, you will owe that trust. You will not ask for it. So if people, they see you achieve, you give back to your community, and you are doing it genuinely, you will be given that trust even without you are asking for it. So I believe the trust in future, it depends completely on what we've done before yesterday, you know?
So as a scientist, ChatGPT is coming in, all these young people can produce papers very, very quickly. How do you see a lot of these shifts that are happening, particularly since you have a young daughter? Are you hopeful for them for the future, or are they going to become lazy by all of these shortcuts?
I believe they're lucky. It's a tool where they need to celebrate and they need to use it well. They are lucky. I think this is a normal process of life. If ChatGPT is not there, it means we are not developing. So all these new things, regardless how good or bad we view it, in the end of the day, I believe they are an outcome and a good indication of the development of a human being. Usually, if you are futuristic, you need to be careful, and you need to back up yourself with all the protection in the world if you need. And that brings me back to an initiative which I started in 2011. In 2011, 2012, I started talking about longevity. I started talking about biological, recycling your biological clock and biological age. And as soon as I started it in the region, I was attacked by religious people, especially the scholar. And at that time, I had to take a pause. My community were not prepared and not yet ready to listen and to differentiate between biological age and chronological age. And then in 2019, Dr. Jamal Hwairib, he had his own majlis in Ramadan, and he said, Mariam, come and talk to us about genetics, about the Arab ethnicities and from where and how come. So I do remember in that talk, I start talking about longevity. I start talking about biological age. And I never knew it will be, it put the community in a panic state, you know. Everywhere I used to go, Mariam Matar, the second day, then I explained to them that, for example, right now, Dr. Tariq, while we are talking 2023 in November, I am 48 years old, and my biological age for my ovaries are 28. My kidney and my liver, and my heart, they are only 16 years old. And again, that is not an opinion or what I feel, positive energy. I don't know what all these people, with my full respect to them, it is a real science where you measure the biological age and how efficient is the organ in comparison to the specific age group while human development.
Yeah. Voices of the Future book and ecosystem, we have two experts in longevity, Dr. Graham Simpson, and I have Dr. Mike Sinnell from Los Angeles. And they talk about 100 being the new 60, and our children will live to 120 and our grandchildren to 150. Two big questions, and then we'll wrap up the interview. One of them is that longevity is on the one side, and then creation at the CRISPR level, at the DNA level, at the genome level, we are looking at blue eyes and designer babies on the one side and longevity on the other side. You, as a physician, as a person with public health, how do you balance these things? Because parents want this, and then as we growing older, we want this, and then that is reshaping society completely.
In my opinion, I might be wrong. I think is the time for people in Middle East to change their approach. We shouldn't be follower for the American medical school.
Correct.
Or European medical school. Again, I will tell you how lucky I am. I was lucky enough to have an opportunity to study in Planet Japan. And when you go to Planet Japan, you know exactly people are talking, working, studying, researching on longevity back since 1964, where no one in US, in Europe, was talking about. If you'll go back to Russia at the same timeline, they've done great while we are here focusing on insurance, focusing on cancer, because the European and the American medical school are interested in that. Simply, we are follower. We are following this different school. And allow me to say, even the media, even many people, they start talking about longevity as soon as somebody from you start talking about. And so people who say we are futuristic, we talk about future, they are not, in my opinion. They are simply good reader. They good radar. They look and see what is new. They come up and get it in different area. So in my opinion, when we talk about future, when we talk about longevity, it's not the approach which we are having right now. Everybody's following. And unfortunately, people and the community and the leader, they cannot differentiate that. If we talk about longevity from a scientist, it's completely different when you hear it from a physician. Because you need to have this bridge where whatever you will discover as a breakthrough, as a great advantage for a human being, you need to complement that with a clinical practice. And unfortunately, again, for longevity, for a long time, people were not interested because pharma are not interested.
Correct.
So all those studies in US, Europe, wherever, they need to be funded. And the biggest funder for any clinical trials are pharma company. So people were talking about longevity back in 2012, even 2000, while it was confined to a community where they believe in what they are doing, they know, and They don't need a big number of a study to do it.
Yeah.
And we were doing it even without being aware about it. I'll give you a small example about it. And the other point, which I believe still it is underlooked and underestimated from our respective physician and researcher from different parts of the world. People still are not appreciating and focusing on ethnicities. With my full respect for everyone who claim that this product will elongate your telomeres, this product will increase the number of your mitochondria and the efficiency, this telomeres will work on your cytokines with your interleukin. With my full respect for everyone, excuse me, you need to come and practice it on my ethnicity, on African ethnicity, and then you can apply it. I'll give you a small example which is alarming, but no single physician who is dealing in longevity are sharing it in practice or doing it. I had one session and one question for big gathering of physicians who are involved in longevity, and they are all American and European. I asked them one question about their protocol. None of them, I take full responsibility of what I'm saying, Dr. Tariq, none of them direct their client or whoever they recommend to stop any type of supplement for longevity during your period as a female. No single one is doing that. And you know how the impact of that? As you know, in this type, still we don't have enough study. How does this product will affect the female in this time where her estrogen and progesterone are quite, estrogen is high. And you can imagine, in my opinion, I have my own hypothesis, that might affect her productive life, and she might have premature menopause. Can you imagine if you have a focal of a cancer somewhere there, and the timeline for this cancer to clinically show it 5 years, you will go and order online, let's say NAD or whatever, and you will start taking it. So instead, you are accelerating. Instead of having it in 5 years, you will have it in a shorter time. So that's why I am calling and I'm establishing an institute for longevity for physician. It's not Mariam Matar. It's not so-and-so. It should be a proper institute where people will sit together and clearly define at least some of the safety guidelines for whatever. No problem. Let's not have a proper guidelines for intervention, but a safety guidelines. At least we will reduce the risk. There is no clear definition of what the dose should be for female and what the dose for male. It is unified, regardless if you are male and female. While pharma, because they want to save more money, they didn't consider there in the clinical trials. So in 2014, I carried this flag. Now many companies, thanks God, they are reconsidering all of these. And you cannot imagine, Dr. Tariq, I cannot take the credit, but I can take the credit of being pioneer, talking loudly about it. So I believe I was having the opportunity to build the bridge to magnify the worries of the scientific community and make sure the decision maker there where they have no scientific background, at least they hear it and they reconsider it.
I find that extremely important, and I think this message will reach millions of people, that we need to indeed look at that. One other thing when we talk about longevity is about mental health and about all the neurological and the neuroscience component of our health. We may be 100 years old, but if our brain's not ready for that, and if we haven't looked after our brain development, what's the point of living to 120 when your brain's not working?
Absolutely.
So we may be able to biologically extend our life through various science and technology, but we also have to look at our mental health, which goes back to where you started, from family values, from balance, from humanity, from compassion. All of those things come together. So last question on mental health and how important that may be as part of this overall process, and then we will conclude.
Again, in my opinion, many of our colleagues and our seniors who talks about longevity, I have full respect for them. I was lucky enough to be a wife of a psychiatrist who's a Harvard graduate and who is subspecialized in integrated psychiatry. And I was lucky enough to be interested in microbiome and heavy metal. And even having all this element together, back in 2013, I like the years because I have them all in my calendar, which day I start thinking about what and involving.
Yes.
So back in 2013, I was so much interested to know more about microbiota, which is the small organism where live in an environment called microbiome. So when I start reading about microbiota, and that's all because of my interest in the concept of longevity, we came to understand and to know these microbiota, they are the main factory for our neurotransmitters. They are the one who decide which precursor they will absorb and where it should go. And then we came to have a better understanding about the gut-brain axis. So when we talk about mental health and when we talk about longevity, without talking about our microbiota, Dr. Tariq, you need to go out from that office for whoever physician is here, in my opinion. Because if you talk about longevity and without you doing a test for my microbiome and what is the diversity of the organism, how good they are, and what is their ethnicity, even my microbiome, if I will do their DNA analysis or RNA analysis, I will know exactly what they like and what they don't like. I will know how pure they are from my ethnicity point of view or not. And not only that, when you will do a test for your microbiome, you will know exactly how well fit these organism are. So if we talk about mental health, if we talk about longevity, without taking a look after these guys who are very essential for our body, there is something wrong. And not only themselves, they have a multi-metabolite. It's a product which comes out. It helps us to maintain as a human being. And you can imagine only small example, serotonin, which makes you satisfied, happy, being grateful. 80%, 80, from this product are manufactured and formed by these small organisms in your tummy. So if you will do a test for me, your liver, your heart, without making sure what they are doing, you are messing up with me. For you doing a food intolerance test from my blood without checking what they like, you are helping me for a short time. You are having a very narrow view about my future. So I have this concept which is called future medicine and science, in which we talk about real medicine. Because what we are in, it's called disease care system. If we think about healthcare system, simply we are integrating longevity within. In my opinion, it's not healthy to talk about longevity alone. You need to talk about healthcare system and about future medicine and science. Then longevity, it's one of the end product in my opinion.
Thanks.
While if we talk about healthy lifespan, I'll give you a small example from my lovely young country. If we talk about healthy lifespan, to elongate it, in 1971, from the United Nations Development Report, it shows the middle age group in my country and the lifespan for UAE, it's only 48 years old. In the same report, 2019, it showed that the statistic reflected, you can imagine, 78 years. Can you imagine? We have 71. With each 100 Emirati, 50 of them, they used to live till the age of 47. Now we are talking about 2019. Each 100 Emirati, 50 of them, they will have the opportunity to live till the age of 78. This is the development. This is the future. So we are not elongating people's life. All what we are doing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala giving us all the tools for which we elongate the healthy life. And if you will tell me what is the main element, which is unfortunately making people, they live not in a healthy way and increase the risk for disorders, one element goes back to epigenetic, it's sleep. So if you don't have good night sleep If you will not give your brain time to detoxify from all those elements, because there is no lymphatic system in the brain, it's the only time at night your neuron will shrink, give space for a channel for the space, so the cells will take out all those toxic and it will be get filtrated. If you will not have that night to sleep of at least 3 cycle, and each cycle 90 to 120 minutes, you will not be able to function well. This is the only time where your body, your brain, will take over and start to communicate with your organ. Not only that, only during your sleep, Dr. Tariq, there is a special arm force are released from your bone marrow and from your lymphatic system. They will be like SWAT. They will look after all the places. They are looking for any nasty cells which are trying to change to cancerous. They will go and attack them and destroy it in the same moment. While if you don't have this quality of sleep, your body will not be able to manage itself. They will have miscommunication. Like any relation, they might have divorce. And if there is any divorce between one organ and the other, failure in one of the organ will happen. So in my opinion, sleep, sleep, sleep. If you want to age gracefully and to have a good lifespan, please take care of your sleep and nothing else. And if
this has been fascinating
Oh,
and
thank you very
insightful, and
much.
as time went by, I think you got into your zone, and I think I'd like to end this thing regrettably, because we're having so much fun chatting. But you shared about your family, your wonderful mother,
Habibti.
your father that gave you so much love and has built this legacy for you, your beautiful young country, your nation that has given you the platform, the canvas, and the opportunity for you to paint your life. And you've been so warm and open in your sharing. Any final message before we end this for the millions of people who will watch this? What do they need to do? What does Dr. Mariam say that folks do this to be ready for the future?
Take deep breath. People rarely they breathe. They think they are breathing. For example, in all our interview, we didn't. So all what can I ask people? Try to make sure you are breathing clean, good air.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And love.
Yes.
Don't spend your day without having somebody in your love, which you love and he give you in turn.
Yeah.
And I believe, Dr. Tariq, I am so lucky and blessed with the people who loves me genuinely, and I love them genuinely.
Yeah. Dr. Mariam, there's very little I can say after
No.
that, because you're oscillating at a different level.
Thank you very
You really
much.
are.
Yeah,
I mean,
God
you're,
bless you.
and I think
You're
you're
a
true
very good
inspiration.
interviewer, wallah. You took a lot of things out of me.
But I did. What
You are a
interview?
good listen. You see your eyes, you know.
What interview?
No,
There
God
wasn't an interview.
God
This
bless
is
you.
the whole thing. It's for me to connect with hearts,
Alhamdulillah.
and I think that's all I do is ultimately having humanity and connecting with heart. And you know, I can be very smart and technical and this, that, and the other. That's for another occasion. But when I meet genuine people like you who are authentic and deep and insightful and meaning,
Alhamdulillah.
to me, that is the true value of what I'm doing as Voices of the Future. So thank you very much. I'm very, very grateful.
Allah يسلمك. Thank you
شكراً-
very
شكراً
much.
جزيلاً.
Allah يحفظك يا رب.